My 37M ex-wife 30F is about to be homeless and has asked to live with me and my son. A brief backstory: 3 years ago, during COVID, my ex-wife, Petunia, cheated on me. We have one young son and have been married for 7 years. I tried to work things out, but her mom convinced her she cheated because she was unhappy with me. It was a very high-conflict divorce, and at first I made a few bad decisions, letting her have access to our joint bank account. I had a ton of false police allegations against me and CPS calls, so I put everything up to a camera. I walked with a body cam outdoors. I was utterly self-monitored to avoid allegations. A week after I put up the cameras, I caught her and her family breaking into my house. Legally speaking, she did not get arrested because we were still married, but it does look bad in court. However, I took my lawyer's advice and the custody my state gives fathers. Fortunately for me, she fell in love with someone in a European country and handed away most of the rights to my son. Most as in, I got full custody, but she retained legal custody, i.e., she could pull him out of school or get his medical records, etc. My lawyer said this protected me if we went back to court because she would probably win that before, and I would look bad. 1 year later, she is getting divorced a second time and moving in with our mutual friend. The divorce happened about a month ago, and during this time she has not attempted to visit my son. Side note here, my lawyer advised me to play it cool, don't antagonize, don't withhold our son. Also, he told me to buy a house. I am in a position now, and set down roots to make it harder to take him away from me. Again, our divorce was a high conflict, and I was terrified she would try and take him from me. I am more than willing to allow her to see her son, and I want to do the right thing and let my son grow up happy. Honestly, that's all I care about. Her history says she is highly volatile, and I am concerned. Current problem: here's where I need advice. I don't want to bury the lead here, so the crux is that she wants to move in for a few weeks until her YouTube career takes off. I am not insane, so I do not have any confidence in said career. I also question her mental health for reasons listed below. Reddit, what do? Our mutual friends, a couple with 3 children, grew tired of Petunia, and for a good reason. They assumed she would do the usual thing, get a job and get back up on her feet. They also work very hard and sometimes struggle to get by, so working 10 hours a day to come home to someone doing absolutely nothing is very discouraging. They gave her a deadline to get out, or they would involve legal matters. That deadline is in a few days, so Petunia decided to call me and ask if she could live with me for a few weeks. Petunia joined some New Age religion. There is a lot of detail to share here, but I want to leave the tangent manageable. Instead, I will link you over to the Aetherius Society. She denies it by name, but line by line, that's what she believes in. I am religious, so I am careful not to make fun of other religions. It would not be sincere of me to do so. But it started with a tarot reading, which led to going onto TikTok, and she believes that she is a starseed and an ancient alien who came to spread light to the world. It seems like a mix of paganism, Buddhism, and other spiritual things mashed into one. I am trying not to rant about reincarnations and talking with aliens here, so I've deleted many paragraphs of the issues I take with it. She thinks she is a chosen being risen above the masses, and of course that plays strongly into the ego. Everyone internally wants to feel like they are unique, and believing you are of some royal bloodline feeds into that. Right now, I am legitimately suspecting mental illness. Our mutual friends tell me that they don't recognize her anymore, and that she is being secretive and not letting them know what's happening. I'm a single dad with 100% custody and 0 support from the other parent. My dating life is also not looking up, but I have a promising career, and we get by. I am incredibly fortunate in a lot of ways. I've been getting a ton of therapy for my codependent behaviors, and I don't need this. She tells me she will be homeless if I don't take her in. She is not speaking with her immediate family because she moved to another country. If I let her in, though, it will seriously affect my mental health. What the heck do I do? I am leaning towards calling her bluff and letting her figure it out, though it appears she will never get a job. Would the courts hate that? I am very uncomfortable with this position. Second story. My 48M ex-wife 47F has reached out to me after years. We were married for 7 years and divorced about 15 years ago. The reason at the time was our vision for the future wasn't compatible. I wanted a family, white picket fence, etc. She wanted to remain free and travel until her last day. FYI, at the time we were married, she shared my side of the vision. There is a cliché about remaining friends, but honestly, I think we did at the beginning. She met someone and married him in 2010. He was older and had money and gave her that lifestyle. We were close enough that I was invited to the wedding and made a brief toast. Obviously, with him in her life, we drifted apart and basically played Facebook tag. When we divorced, I was depressed and got therapy, but after she was married and gallivanting around Europe and the Caribbean, I got really depressed. Therapy only helped so much. It took about 5 years to really pull through and be myself. I tried dating again and it never worked out. I honestly felt that I could never have been happier with anyone than I was with her. I regretted putting my foot down about how I wanted to live. Meanwhile, she was Facebook documenting their attempts to get pregnant, the one thing she was dead set against at all costs, to the point that she wanted to get her tubes tied just in case. Fertilization clinics, IVF, etc., but nothing took. They announced they had gotten a surrogate to carry their child, and tragically the child was stillborn. Her husband passed away privately in 2021. People only found out a month after his very private burial. I messaged her saying I would be there for her if she needed someone to talk to. I did not hear back. Aside from posting inspirational messages, etc., she went dark. On my birthday this year, I received a card from her wishing me a happy birthday, thanking me for being such an important part of her life, and saying maybe we'll be in touch soon. This last Friday she called me. It was the first time I spoke to her directly in over a decade. It was light conversation. I didn't bring up much in the last 10 years, but she asked if I was free to get coffee or a drink today, Tuesday. She was going to be back near where I live on Thursday. I agreed. Since then, we've texted a bit back and forth, being slightly more intimate. I get the sense she's testing the waters, so to speak, to see if there is interest there. From my end, it is a double-edged sword. There really would be interest in seeing where it might go, but I don't think I could handle losing her a second time. I've asked a few friends and they've been split down the middle. Don't get involved again vs. See what happens. What do you think? Has anyone ever been in this situation where a relationship was rekindled after so long, and what did you do? What red flags or things to worry about should I be looking for? Third story. My 38F husband 43M refuses to give up his gym girlfriend or even talk about the issue. On Father's Day, I noticed my husband texting and smiling with someone, ignoring or not seeing me when I invited him to the table for breakfast. I got closer so he could notice me and saw he was texting an unknown woman. We've been married for 4 years and have a preschooler and a 1-year-old. I didn't bring it up besides asking who is that, since my mom was in town visiting. When I mentioned it later, I said I didn't know making friends of the opposite sex and not saying anything was okay for us. He didn't volunteer anything, but when pressed further mentioned that he'd been working out with her, which I know is 3/4 days a week for 2 to 3 hours before work most mornings. He ended up admitting he didn't tell me about her because he knew I'd be mad, moreover that he'll be working out with whoever he wants. Fast forward several one-sided, vulnerable conversations, and 2 months after a lot of feeling sick to my stomach and sleepless nights, I finally laid it out. I didn't give him an ultimatum, I simply told him I can't sleep, that I feel heartbroken and constantly concerned, that if I was doing the same he'd feel awful, And crickets. I asked how long it was going to last and was met with, "There's no sign-up sheet in the gym." I told him I can't imagine continuing our relationship feeling like this, and needed to know in words how he felt. He reported feeling the same, that I'm his wife and he loves me. My boundary is unacknowledged and so far, unenforced. It's not that I think he's put his dick in her yet. It's that he won't budge or say anything knowing I'm hurting. I feel like I'm getting more heartbroken daily. The impulse to check his phone is hard to resist at times. I don't want to leave, but I need more than this lack of response from him. At no point have I asked him to stop going to the gym or working out with her. I told him I wouldn't ask that he's free to do what he likes, but that he should think of something he's comfortable with to address the issue and rebuild trust. I suggested having her over for dinner. You can guess how that went. He said nothing. TLDR, I'm jealous that my husband spends 8 hours plus a week with another woman at the gym, time we don't have together as parents of young kids. I want to bail. Resolved, he apologized sincerely, changed gyms, and went no contact confirmed on phone records quietly. He found a therapist for us and has been scheduling our sessions every couple of weeks. Was he a jerk? Definitely. But he's acting like a jerk who loves me and wants to stay married. Update: when he left for work this morning a day later, I told him to think about what I said throughout the week. I appreciate all the support, including the comments that bring up that I may be jealous or have let my body go, or especially that I have been too permissive as a wife. I'm completely open to criticism in my personal arena. Update 2: he came home Monday night in a mood, refusing to eat dinner and arguing over unrelated issues and eventually saying angrily, "Just so you know, we're no longer working out because of you." But I had phone records and screenshots of their conversations indicating many, as in a majority of deleted texts. I will never know what they said, and I frankly don't even care. Turns out he texted her showing her this post, and she, a sweetheart and a stranger, was the one who had the consideration to not work out anymore. By the way, not ever what I wanted. I wanted to know why on earth he's hiding a friend and deleting texts. I want to know why I'm not worth comforting, or at the very least the truth, or a conversation on why he feels distant enough to lie. He stonewalled, shut me down, gave me the silent treatment all night and all day Tuesday. When he arrived home high, I asked him if he wanted to talk or walk. As in, we're going to counseling and you're making the appointments, or I'm following through on one of my 5 divorce lawyer consults I had by phone on Monday. In the end, I asked to see his texts, where I found out the above, that he doesn't have the balls to tell her himself what was going on, just the cruelty to let me suffer another day, having read my post, and to show my heart to a fucking stranger, and act like it was my fault. Had he at any point opened up about why he was hiding her, had he not deleted texts after saying he wanted to rebuild trust, had he given me any information or compassion, this would be very different. He didn't want to hand over the phone for me to check for more deleted texts one last time, and I mean the last time because I'm not losing any more sleep over this. I had to call his mom to tell her to get his room ready before he handed it over. He says he loves me and wants to stay, that he didn't want to hurt me. He's asking if I still love him. He knows I do. I told him to take a hard look at whether or not he loves me in light of the many other ways he's shown me I'm worthless to him. I told him he was the most selfish person I've ever met. What a stupid and cowardly way to throw me away. 1. He is bodybuilding and commuting 40 minutes to get to this gym by work, 30 miles away. 2. He leaves at 4 in the morning to go to this gym, so confrontation is not a possibility. I can't get childcare at that time. 3. So many of you are absolutely right. The lack of response to me is the problem, independent of this poor other woman. 4. I don't have a family to run to besides his mom. Last time I tried to get some space after a verbally abusive episode, he gaslighted and made false claims that I have postpartum, am suicidal, really just exhausted, and threatened to call the cops saying I was kidnapping my children if I left. To a known place with his mother.